I finally got a decent job working construction, but it wasn't enough to even manage the debt, pay it off regardless anyway.
Yeah.
My girlfriend at the time, I guess she could just see me struggling. It was getting hard on her too. I was depressed. I couldn't do anything. I was just in a slump in my mind. Every time I got paid, I just got to pay this off. And then there's another bill right after. Basically, she's like, look, you need to do something with this or we're done. That was the point where okay, I know I can't do this on my own. What I'm doing isn't working. I just literally went on Google. I started searching for just ways to help. And one of the first things that popped up was National Debt Relief. They were the only ones with real actual people reviewing it.
It's really hard to sometimes ask for that help. Sometimes you have to reach out. How did you feel when they said, you know what, like you're finished, you went through the program? How did that feel?
I cried.
Yeah.
But the first step is you got to ask for help. And I think they're a great place to ask for help from. You can definitely do it too. If I can do it, because like I said, I saw myself as a screw up, as a lost cause, but you're not. It's not the end of the world. You can do it.
Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to be meeting with Jeremy, who is a real National Debt Relief client and graduate of the program. During our discussion, we're going to walk through Jeremy's amazing journey to how he paid off $25,237 of credit card debt and how National Debt Relief helped him reach that goal. So without further ado, let's get into it. Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on and wanting to leave a testimonial for National Debt Relief. I was able to read through your journey, learned a lot about you and what you went through. And instead of me going and telling everyone about all the impressive things you've done, including paying off debt and the financial life that you're living now, I thought it'd be great for you to kind of talk through your story and like everything you've gone through.
You don't really think about it until someone points it out, but like when you're not in that situation anymore, you can just look at it from the outside. And looking at it from the outside, from when I was in it, it's more than night and day. It's like, I think you understand when you have like somebody telling you owe thousands and thousands of dollars. It's hell. It's like a giant weight on you. When I got out of high school, I did one semester at Xavier University, and that was my first like real realization with debt. One semester, and then someone's telling you owe $30,000 of tuition. I just couldn't take it. That's why I dropped out originally.
No, I feel the same way, man. Like, it feels like there's a weight on your shoulders and you don't know how to get out of it because a lot of times we grow up in environments where everyone's in debt, right? Like they are in thousands of dollars in debt. It's very rare that you come across people who are actually able to get out of it and they're living their entire lives just feeling that they owe someone else. You mentioned thousands of dollars in debt. And a lot of times it's for things that people need, groceries, going off to school, like whatever it might be. It's troubling to just think through, like there might not be a way of getting out of it. I'm happy you're able to get out of debt. But let's kind of start from the beginning. Let's talk about like your upbringing. Kind of start me from day one. Like, how did your parents or people that you're around, like what was their relationship with money growing up?
Originally, I think my mom, she had a good relationship. She had a good job, but she worked at Bell South, which originally got bought out by AT&T. Business being business, when they bought out the company, they laid off all the salary workers.
Wow.
So it ended up being a decent, I don't want to say like an upper middle class, because we were good. We weren't dirt poor, but we weren't struggling or nothing, but we were good. And then when she lost her job, it just went downhill from there. So she went from being a salaried worker to just struggling to pay bills.
How did you feel like that might have impacted you as a young child? I mean, I'm sure it's like hard to see someone go from, hey, like now they have this full-time job to, not having that job anymore.
It definitely played into my spending habits from when I started working. Looking back at it, when I started working, I had a decent job working in the oil field after I dropped out after the first semester. So when I was making, I don't want to say real money, but decent money, it's like everything that I couldn't get as a child, I wanted to get now. And that was just spending frivolously, really bad spending habits, not budgeting, not really thinking about down the road, not saving money like I should have been.
I think a lot of times, especially when it comes to taking on that debt, you just mentioned it, it's like a lot of times we're trying to fill that void of what we didn't have before. And if you have this open allocation of dollars, it's like, wow, I didn't have that kind of money ever before, so I'm going to go and spend on the things that I want. Let's give round numbers, right? So like, how much debt did you have at the height of your debt-free journey?
Probably around $39,000-$40,000.
Wow. And then like you're saying that what mostly contributed to that was you going out and just getting the things that you've kind of always wanted. Maybe your upbringing might have been a factor as well. How is that in, like just having $40,000? That's a lot of debt, right? How did that impact your day-to-day life? Did you find it was crippling or?
It was definitely crippling because one of the main reasons I had so much debt was when I was making that kind of money, I had people in my ear telling me, "Oh, don't just spend it. Get credit cards."
Mm,
I
yeah,
never really did anything, and I paid my bills in high school when I worked at McDonald's, so I had like a phone account, an AT&T account on my name, so I had a little bit of credit. And they're like, "No, you need to get credit cards. You need to get your credit right. Get your card." In my mind, I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm building credit. I'm doing stuff,"
mhm,
but it's literally credit card, credit card, credit card, not really understanding what an interest rate is.
yep,
Not really, you know what I'm saying? Not really understanding that, okay, I got to pay this back. And all of it just kept multiplying, kept multiplying. Like, oh,
yep,
credit card here, car payment here, this, that, and the other. And then, once the oil field was I worked in North Dakota kind of dried up a little bit,
mhm,
we all got laid off.
right.
I went from making a good amount of money to barely making ends meet, but now I've got all of these payments that I got to make.
Yeah, and that could be troubling. I mean, even, we talk about credit cards all the time, and credit cards can be a gift, but then at the same time, it could, be a curse with really anything in life, right? So you have to know how to balance them. And, even I went through that same kind of path. I thought about credit card debt as being not a great thing, but once you get to the point where you understand how to manage them, then it could be something that could be beneficial for your life. But unfortunately,
Mhm.
growing up, especially, where you and I might have grew up, it's you learn all the bad things that come along with credit cards and you fall victim to some of the things that are not so good. But once you learn how to go about managing them, you can use it. You can go from playing defense to playing offense is what I like to
Mhm.
call it. When did you get to the point where you're like, you know what, I'm going to look for help? When did you get to the point where you say, hey, like I need help?
I guess I had around 2 years. I had been just struggling with it, dealing with it, going from jobs. I finally got a decent job working construction, but it wasn't enough to even manage the debt, pay it off regardless. Anyway,
Yeah.
my girlfriend at the time, I guess she could just see me struggling. It was getting hard on her too. I was depressed. I couldn't do anything. I was just in a slump in my mind. Every time I got paid, I couldn't. I just got to pay this off, and then there's another bill right after it. I couldn't do anything. And then to her credit, she just kind of got fed up with it. Basically, she's like, "Look, you need to do something with this, or we're done." Kind of just gave me an ultimatum, and her being the love of my life at the time, that was the point to where, okay, I know I can't do this on my own.
Mm,
What I'm doing isn't working. I just literally went on Google. I started searching for just ways to help, and one of the first things that popped up was National Debt Relief. Took down the name of that company, like two or three other companies. I just like started like YouTube videos, Google reviews, and they were the only ones with real actual people reviewing it.
right.
And so that's when I called the lady. I think I called her that night. The next morning, she called me back, and we had a phone conversation about me joining the program.
Wow, that's crazy. So like you went through a situation where it was not only you feeling the debt, your family, girlfriend was feeling the debt. And I know I read through your story before where you had some pretty dark days where you said, hey, like I was going through depression and there was a lot kind of weighing on me, and you decided to make the choice of reaching out. And I think it's a good topic to talk through because I would say, people of our demographic, it's really hard to sometimes ask for that help. We were raised to figure things out on your own and work harder and like kind of, just put your head down and make things work. But sometimes you have to reach out for help, and that's one big thing that I've learned in my professional career is that you're not always going to have the answers, but there are people out there that have the model and they can actually show you exactly what you need to do in order to make your dreams a reality. So luckily you're able to find national debt relief. I know you mentioned a little bit about the difference between national debt relief and some of the others out there, but what are some of the things about national debt relief that really stood out where you said, man, like that really made a difference for me?
The one-on-one attention was definitely up there. Like when I would get calls from my case manager just telling me, "Hey, this is what we're going. This is our plan," and it wasn't just here's the paperwork, read through it. She
Yeah.
actually explained everything to me.
Hmm.
She explained to me what the issue was, what they were going to do, how do we fix it, and it was real because it wasn't just, "Oh no, we can knock this out over the next couple of months." She's like, "No, no, no, this is going to take a while.
Yeah.
I want you to understand, if you can do this, if you can make this one payment a month, we're going to negotiate with these lenders and these credit card companies. We're going to get this down. We're going to figure out what your situation is, and we're going to make it better."
Right.
But they were very realistic with me, and I think being realistic, not selling me a dream,
Right.
was the main thing. I think.
Yeah, so it seems like they were able to unravel the entire situation and build a plan and tell you exactly how you're going to go about building that plan. And I love the point about being real because sometimes you do, like, on the internet, you hear all that stuff. It's like, well, you're gonna become debt free in 2 days. You're gonna, make $100,000 over the X amount of days. And a lot of times it doesn't work that way. But what does work is, number one, hard work and having that plan and have that model, and then someone that you can trust. And I think what I love about National Debt Relief is that you basically have like somewhat of like a mentor that kind of help you step by step on like how you go about doing certain things.
Hmm.
For it to feel real, and you could feel that light at the end of the tunnel. Speaking about light at the end of the tunnel, thinking through your first settlement. I mean, I'm sure that was a big deal for you when you realized that, you got your first settlement. Like, how did that feel?
It's a moment where you actually start to realize that it's happening. Like it's kind of like a moment of hope.
Right.
It's
Wow.
like it actually like, oh wait, it's happening. It actually is working.
Right.
It's not just hoping. I'm hoping this works. I really hope it works. You actually you start to see the results of it.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of like, oh, if they got this settlement done, then maybe this isn't just me aimlessly doing nothing. Maybe this isn't just a lost cause.
I love that. It's very important to not only have a plan and believe in the plan, but man, when you get that first settlement, you get that first win, that's when it you really want to put things on overdrive. And I felt the same way when I was paying off my debt. I paid off my car loan first. And
Mhm.
once I paid that off, I was like, man, I paid off $25,000 of debt. I could do that for my other debt. And then you start building that plan. And then you understand that one day you're going to become debt free. And then you're going to have more money to be able to do whatever the heck you want to do with. That was my eye opening moment. So, in your overall experience with National Debt Relief, it seems like it was one where you felt like there was a lot of hand holding and people there for you. But let's talk about like when you graduated from the program. How did you feel when they said, you know what, like you're finished, you went through the program? How did it feel to, if you kind of use the analogy of like turning the tassel on the hat, like how did that feel?
I mean, I cried.
Yeah.
I cried when I finally graduated the program. It was just it took me like 2 or 3 days to finally realize, for it to really click to me, like I don't have this monkey on my back anymore. I don't have this giant looming monster of debt constantly gnawing at me anymore. One of the good things about the program, about halfway through the program, I started to realize that this wasn't the only area in my life that I could turn around,
Wow.
until I started going to counseling. And then the counselor, with the help of some family members, like, well, why don't you go back into school? And that's when I went back to school, a technical diploma. I got my degree in IT.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
so thank you. And then it's just one of those kind of things where it really, my life is finally starting to turn around.
Mm.
And like, so finishing the program, it was something that I thought was impossible, but it was.
It happened.
It just like it happened. Like I did it. I'm not in debt. Like that's such a
Hear
crazy
that.
feeling.
Not many people could say that, And then the cool thing about it, on top of all that, is that you become an inspiration for so many other people that inspire to be debt free. I mean, for a lot of people, it's a pipe dream. It's, I want to become debt free, but you really have to be connected with companies like National Debt Relief and put the work in, and kudos to you for doing that. But you get to celebrate at the end of the finish line. I think a lot of times people just want to celebrate at the end of the finish line. They don't actually want to put in the work. They don't want to run the marathon, right?
Mhm.
You ran the marathon. Someone gave you the plan in order to make that happen. You had the mentorship and the guidance in order to make that happen, and you did it. And just thinking about your debt free journey reminds me of my own. Like when I July 17th of 2020, I'll never forget, was my debt-free date. And I just remember tearing up and just saying, I did it. Like, it's over. I made my final payment and it was done. But man, if I just had the help of someone like National Debt Relief to help get me through quicker, that would have been the world to me. So thank you for sharing that. So you're mentioning that you went off and got a technical degree in IT. Like, how else has your life changed after paying off all your debt?
I got my degree. I went back to school. I started going to counseling. It really helped me get out of the depression that the debt put me in. It helped me get a new job because I wasn't in this slump, and finally had some, I guess, some hope
Right.
that I wasn't a lost cause, that it wasn't the end of the world, that I could finally actually do something. And I'm sure you have that much debt when you're in that hole at bottom. It's just
Dark. Yeah.
it's dark. You don't see anything. But having somebody tell you, like, no, 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 we have a plan. We know what we're doing,
Mhm.
and we're going to get you out of it. It's like you said, the men were raised to where we got to shoulder everything by ourselves. Don't ask for help. But sometimes you do ask for help. You ask it from the wrong people,
Mhm.
or you ask it from somebody who doesn't really know what they're doing in a situation or who's never had to deal with this. And I think the financial sector with banks and loans and credit cards, it's such a very complicated, complex structure that you have to have people who know what they're doing, who know how to guide through that, really help you out. And I really think that that's something I could have never done on my own.
Yeah, it could be complex, but yeah, you have people that have gone through it. They've helped. I mean, National Debt Relief, they have thousands of different reviews, 5-star reviews coming from people just like you, where, you know, they're able to pay off their debt and really find that light at the end of the tunnel. You know, now that you have graduated and you're at a point now where you're away from that debt life, I would call it. You know, how has your relationship with money and debt changed since graduating from the program?
I'm very conscious about what I spend money on.
Mhm.
I'm very frugal with my money. I'm conscious. I save.
Yeah,
Whenever I get paid, that's the first thing I do is transfer money to my savings account.
love
You know,
that.
I'm not. I don't just spend. I budget.
Mhm.
That's the main thing I do is I budget. If it doesn't fit in my budget, I don't need it.
Yeah, and what I typically call like having a plan for your money. Like, I mean, spending isn't bad, but spending without a plan can lead to, you know, you being fairly frivolous, right? And I think a lot of times people don't have that moment where they say, you know what, enough is enough, and because they never get to that point, they continue down that same path. But you've obviously gotten to that point, and you're able to get that help, and now you're debt free, and now you see money differently, and now you're going to be able to save and invest more of your money in order to do whatever you want to do with. So that's truly inspiring for anyone who might be, you know, listening and they're just like, you know what, like I'm on the fence and I want to work with a company that like National Debt Relief. What closing statements would you leave them with, as it relates to work with National Debt Relief?
I think the one thing I want to tell someone who's on the fence about it is it's not going to go away. So you need some help.
Mhm.
And for me personally, you know, it's cliche, but they saved my life. The way I was feeling was it was the end of the world.
Yeah.
I was a lost cause, and I wanted to give up. They told me basically, look, you don't need to give up because we can help you through this. It's not a magical, hey, boom, it's fixed type of thing. It's a very much a look, this is the problem, this is how we're going to fix it, and this is what you need to do. If you can do this, we can get you out of this. We can help you. But the first step is you got to ask for help. And I think they're a great place to ask for help from.
Love that. And thank you for sharing. So for everyone listening, you guys hear the story. You hear what Jeremy has gone through, and he was able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And again, congrats. You know, there's not many people that can say that they're, you know, debt free, and you know they've kind of gone through the journey and put in the hard work, but you have, and you're going to be an inspiration for so many other generations of people that are looking to get out of debt. So thank you for everything that you did and you've done, and the time you've dedicated to kind of giving your story and inspiring others. I think that honestly gives people liberation to say, hey, like I can do it too.
They can definitely do it too. If I can do it, because like I said, I saw myself as a screw up, as a lost cause, but you're not. It's not the end of the world. You can do it.
Thanks again for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Wow, what an amazing story. When Jeremy enrolled in the program, he had $27,237 in credit card debt. Over his 39-month program, he saved $6,421 during this program, which is 25% of his total debt. It goes to show you, with proper help, the journey to accomplish your financial goals becomes much easier. If you found yourself in a very similar debt situation, I'm gonna have some links that pop up at the end of the video that will provide resources for you.